Hey, this is Elena from the Immigration People. And what an eventful year it had been for Singapore in year 2023. As most of you have already known, we had just elected our new president, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, for the term. Now, on the topic of immigration and work passes, the Ministry of Manpower had just launched a brand new work pass earlier this year, and it is the Overseas and Network Expertise Pass, also known as One Pass, and also the new EP Campus Framework for all EP holders from 1st of September onwards. Now, today's topic is going to be very interesting for you if you are planning to apply for your Singapore permanent residency in 2024, because we have consolidated our top 5 most popular PR success stories. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, first of all, we have the most popular PR success story of the year, which is the story of Miss Yanxia. Yanxia's story has actually inspired thousands of people. Now, Yanxia actually came from China more than 10 years ago to Singapore. So she started off as a work permit holder and slowly worked her way up as she accumulated more years of work experience, and with the increased salary, she managed to get an S-Pass. Now, for those of you who are already in Singapore with a work pass, you will have known that as an S-Pass holder in Singapore, you will be eligible to apply for permanent residency, which was exactly what she did. However, she got rejected in her very first attempt when she tried applying on her own because her documents were not up to the ICA's reviewing standards. Fast forward to many years later, she had better salary, positions, and she tried to apply for PR again, but this time round with her husband and child. Now, Yanxia has been separated from her daughter since birth because she gave birth shortly before COVID, and due to the lockdown, she couldn't visit China or bring her daughter in. Furthermore, because of her salary, she wasn't able to sponsor her daughter a dependence pass to come to Singapore. Hence, Yanxia has been separated from her daughter for years, with her in-laws helping to take care of her daughter in China. Now, Yanxia has a friend who actually got approved of a PR with our team, and her friend actually recommended Yanxia over to us. So we helped Yanxia to apply for her PR after understanding her circumstances. She also diligently worked on hundreds of hours for her community service. With the support of her employer, we managed to help her and her family of 3 to get their Singapore PR approved in 2023. So she brought her daughter over, had her study in Singapore's local school, and just a few weeks ago, she texted me asking when can she apply for Singapore citizenship because she wants her daughter to grow up here and her daughter is not going to leave Singapore again. Next up is the story of a British Chinese national, Mr. Clarence. Now, Clarence was actually born and raised in the UK, with most of his family still residing in Asia. So even before his relocation to Singapore, he has always wanted to move back to some parts of Asia to be closer with his family. So in 2020, he managed to get this opportunity to relocate to Singapore. Now, Clarence is actually a business process manager in the logistics and supply chain industry. And in Singapore, logistics and supply chain is a vibrant industry, especially if you are of a managerial or C-level position. The Singapore government is actually looking for such talents, and Clarence happens to fall into this category. So the interesting thing about Clarence's story is that he hasn't been in Singapore for many of years, unlike Miss Yanxia's story. So Clarence actually came to Singapore only in 2020, and he already decided to apply for PR after 2 years of staying here because he had received, a deep sense of social security and enjoyed the high quality of living here. Now, because it's Clarence's first time applying for PR, he wants to make sure that nothing goes wrong. So he actually inquired with multiple immigration agencies, and thankfully, the Immigration People's team is able to respond to him in a very prompt, efficient manner, and also gave him accurate advice regarding his circumstances. So without much hesitation, Clarence actually onboarded TIP as one of our PR clients, and we spent a few months working on his application package before submitting it to the authorities. Now, Clarence actually had to wait for about 12 months before receiving his in-principle approval from the ICA. Clarence is now happily a Singapore PR with plans to start a family here. Now next, we have Carlo, who's the representative of the Filipino community. Carlo's story is one of perseverance and determination. Why would I say that? It's because he and his family has been in Singapore for 15 years and they have applied for PR 3 times in total. The inspiration for them to apply for Singapore PR happened back in 2011 when they were trying to enroll their elder daughter into a local primary school. But as most of you may have known, in Singapore, to apply for a government school as a foreigner is very difficult because there are limited quantities given to foreign students in government schools. So with that in mind, they decided to apply for Singapore PR on their own and unfortunately got rejected not once, but twice. Carlo and his wife both work in the tech industry. Now this is very attractive to the Singapore government because we are in the middle of becoming a smart nation where everything needs to be digitalized. So if you are a tech talent, definitely you are in high demand by the Singapore government. In addition, Carlo and his wife has 2 beautiful children whereby they are determined to have their whole family sink roots in Singapore permanently. Now, how Carlo gets to know about TIP is because one of Carlo's wife's colleagues happened to be TIP's clients and got PR successfully as well. So their family came to TIP for a consultation whereby we understood their family circumstances, their past attempts, and we decided to take on their case and improve their profile to present it to the immigration authorities. Thankfully, the PR got approved after being close to a year, and now their family of 4 are happily Singapore PRs with 2 children studying in local primary schools. Next, we have the story of Miss Crystal. Up to this point, if you think that Carlo has been in Singapore for a really long time with his PR rejected twice, now Crystal's story will be even more so inspiring because Crystal has been in Singapore for 19 years and had her PR rejected 6 times before finally getting approved. It all started when Crystal graduated from her high school back in Guangdong, China. She was actually encouraged by her aunt, who was already living in Singapore back then, to further her education and take her bachelor's degree in Singapore because of our world-class education system. So Crystal, of course, she took her aunt's advice and thinking that, she has relatives in Singapore, it would be easier for her to, adapt to Singapore compared to going other countries for her university studies. Having graduated from her degree, she continued to carve a career in Singapore. And little did she know that her PR journey in Singapore would be so arduous. If you look at the whole picture of Crystal's profile, she has actually been in Singapore for so many years, studying here, graduated, continuing her career, and being so well integrated and assimilated into the Singapore society with strong familial ties because her aunts and other relatives are already PRs and citizens. Furthermore, she has a stable employment in the logistics and supply chain industry. But she didn't understand how come she got rejected 6 times, and when she was feeling down and about to give up hope, she got recommended to TIP through a friend. After having a consultation with the TIP team, she actually realized that she has made some fundamental mistakes in her previous application's documents. So having gone through the process with us for the next few months, we prepared her profile, her documents, and filed the application to the immigration authorities. She finally got approved in her 7th attempt in 2023. So today, Crystal is a proud Singapore PR waiting for her turn to apply for Singapore citizenship. Now for our final story of today's episode is the story of Miss Amy. Now, as an immigration professional, Amy's profile actually come across as pretty strong. So it's actually quite surprising for her to be even rejected for her Singapore PR. Not once, but twice. Amy originally came from Hong Kong and she has lived in Australia for several years before moving over to Singapore. She lived in Singapore for a good 9 years after studying here and continuing her career in the media industry. Why would I say that Amy's profile is strong in the first place? It's because Amy is a young professional in the media industry with good qualifications and well-traveled. Now in Singapore, we have more than 100,000 applications for Singapore permanent residency every year. And how the TIP team helps to make Amy's profile stand out in her third attempt is we spent 1 hour in the initial consultation to understand her profile, her past, her credentials, achievements, so on and so forth, and offer a curated suggestion and solution on how we are going to prepare her documents package in the upcoming months and what are the other areas of her profile to improve before we finally submit the application to the immigration authorities. In total, Amy waited close to 12 months before getting her approval come true. And if you were to look at it, Amy has been in Singapore for close to a decade, but I would say that 2023 is really the hallmark year for her because this is the year that she gets to convert her green work pass to a blue identification card, gets herself enrolled into the Singapore's CPF system, and can now proudly call herself a Singapore permanent resident. Amy also shared with us in her interview that she eagerly looks forward to becoming a Singapore citizen. As we conclude this special episode of our top 5 most popular PR success stories of 2023, we would like to thank you for your ongoing support, whether you're an existing subscriber, client, or about to be one. These stories are not only inspiring but also showcase the diverse and incredible journeys our clients have taken to achieve their Singapore PR status despite the odds. Stay tuned for more empowering stories from our community and clients. Wishing all of you happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next episode.